Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back for another episode of HunterTuned. Today I'm going to go pick up a motor for my EK. Some guy's actually, just a little bit north of town here, and he actually has a B18B LS motor that he said he would give me in exchange for some services of mine in the future. So I'm probably going to go pick that up, and I got to order some parts for this new single cam project that we got going on. I got a EG hatchback that we're working on for a customer, and he actually PayPal'd me some money over so we can order some parts for his car. So I'm going to be ordering some of that stuff, and I still have to find a Z6 motor for his car. I actually had kind of planned out something with a guy, and he said that he was going to send me over a Z6 motor, and I haven't been able to get a hold of, or I haven't been able to actually do the exchange with the guy, and just still kind of waiting on trying to find a motor for his car. I know a lot of you guys probably don't like me talking about like my health issues or my anxiety issues or anything like that, but I feel like some people really do enjoy me talking about it, and it does help them out. So you guys can skip ahead like a few minutes here if you don't want to hear about it, but I'm going to talk about my anxiety a little bit, because I recently had went to the doctor, and she prescribed me a higher dosage. I was on 5 milligrams in the morning and 5 milligrams at night for like 3 weeks, and that seemed to be helping. It seemed to be helping a little bit, and it did relieve some of my anxiety symptoms. Like before I started on the medication, I mean, every other day I'd feel like I can't breathe, and I just feel like I'm hyperventilating, and there seemed to be no end in sight. And it seemed like when I ate, the breathing issue would get worse. So I had been prescribed like GERD medication or whatever, so like that's like acid reflux, because they thought it was acid reflux. But now that I'm on this new medication, I know that it is anxiety, because when I was on the 5 milligrams dosage, I definitely felt the breathing issues completely subsided, and I felt amazing for like breathing wise. I still had anxiety with like, panic attacks of traveling and panic attacks of like, leaving town or going far distances for extended periods of time. I have a real issue with that stuff where it's really hard for me to travel like outside of my comfort zone, and it really frickin' sucks, especially trying to help people out and tune cars and, go to other cities to, help people tune their cars and shit. It's really tough for me, and it sounds like I'm just a little bitch, but, if you guys can relate, you'll understand. But, if you can't relate, it's really hard to explain it to some people. But, yeah. Anyways, so I got up this dosage to 30 milligrams a day instead of 10, and holy crap, my anxiety has been so bad. It's been to the point where I went to Walmart last night, and I was, like, hyperventilating. Like, I felt like I was going to die just sitting in Walmart, which is freaking, I don't know, it's terrible. Like, that sucks. So I did some research and Googling and talked to my doctor a little bit, and she's going to be calling me back. But I guess with this medication, when you're on the higher dosage, it can actually make things worse before it makes it better. So that frickin' sucks. I feel fine now because I haven't taken it in a little while, and I have like a rescue medication for like these kind of situations. But yeah, I don't know. It seems to be getting worse with the higher dosage. But like I said, they say that it gets worse before it gets better. So I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to wait for the doctor to call back and see if we can figure something out here. Normally in this kind of a situation, I just throw new spark plugs in and be mint. But, can't chuck smaller gap spark plugs in me. Anyways, we're going to get to ordering some parts for this build for this Z6, and go get my motor and do all that kind of stuff, and we'll cut with all the bull crap. What's up, guys? So I am currently watching Adam LZ's live stream, and this shit is nuts, dude.
The Halo fan.
Like, the amount of comments that he is getting nonstop.
Devin Lambs wants to know if we were
This is freaking insane.
Texas. We should come to one of their car meets if we ever get the chance. Have we been to Paris, Texas?
I actually super chatted him $5, and just so he would like answer my question or whatever. But I met Adam LZ actually up in Shawano, Wisconsin, at the U.S. Air Drift event, and it was super cool meeting him. He's a super humble guy in person, and I don't know, I really envy his work and his popularity, I guess. He's worked really hard at being where he's at now. And he also mentioned in the live stream that he may be buying a Honda. So that is freaking awesome. I would love to help him out as well, just like I am with Boosted Boys. with the injectors that I sent them and whatnot. I love to be a part of these guys' builds and, you know, whatever they're doing. Today I actually went around and I got some engines, and I haven't really been doing a whole lot of wrenching or anything like that, so I haven't been filming a whole lot. But I did pick up some stuff for my EK, and I have some engines over here. So I got this V18A LS motor from a guy. He pretty much gave it to me in exchange for some labor and stuff later in the future. So I got that for kind of parts if I need it. He said it didn't knock or anything, it just used some oil. So it probably has a good crankshaft and, you know, some other miscellaneous parts that I may need. Now I also picked up this engine right here from a guy, and this is a B20 Z2, as you can see here, Z2. And this is the bottom end that I'm going to be using for my EK hatch. He said it was a good motor, but you know, obviously I'm going to be rebuilding it and everything anyways, so we're going to be kind of doing the same exact build that I did on my CRX. Let me turn this damn heater off. Noisy. Not noisy. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to be using this B20Z motor here, or at least the bottom end, and that is the motor that we're going to be using for my CRX, or not my CRX, my EK hatch. Like I said, going to be doing almost the same exact build that I did on my CRX in my EK. I'm actually working with a company now. The company name is actually P2P. It's Performance 2.0 is actually what it's called. They're actually based out of Bloomington, Illinois, which is pretty local to me. It's, you know, just one state down. I'm in Wisconsin. And I kind of reached out to them and I'm like, hey guys, I would love to work with you guys because they actually just came out with a B20 combo. So it comes with connecting rods and the pistons that I'm going to be using, and it's a pretty budget friendly combo. It's like $500 for everything, and you get the rods, pistons, rings, all that stuff. Now on my CRX I did the CX Racing rods, and then I used I forget what pistons they are or what company I got them from, but they're the high comp cast pistons. They're not forged, and I used those in my CRX and they worked really good, but the connecting rod was actually too big on the small end, so I had to grind it down with a grinding wheel so the connecting rod would actually fit inside of the piston. Now what these guys are doing at P2P, or Performance 2.0, is they actually got a combo so you don't have to grind the rod down to fit these pistons. So they have the rod and piston that fit together, and everything should be happy. The pistons are going to be around an 11:8:1, so almost 12:1 compression ratio with the motor I'm going to be putting together, with the cylinder head I'm going to be using, etc. Now I'm planning on boosting this engine. I know my CRX, I wanted to boost it, but like I said, the car itself was kind of, you know, sketchy and really rusty and just didn't feel safe, so I didn't want to put a whole lot of power to that car. But I do plan on using those rods and pistons that they sent over. I'm going to be using them in my B20 Vtec for my EK hatch. And we're going to boost it and see if we can crack like maybe 500 wheel horsepower and go 10 seconds in the quarter mile. That's my goal, and to show you guys that you can do that with a cast piston. And if you can't do it, you know, I'll be the test dummy. Now, I also ordered a bunch of parts for this EG hatch that we're going to be working on. You guys probably had seen it in a couple videos. It is a black EK hatch that a customer brought to me, and he pretty much gave me some money, and he's like, hey, you got to get all the parts for me and all that stuff. And once again, I'm working with Performance 2.0. They also offer the connecting rods and pistons for a single cam, which actually you can use the Viterra low compression pistons. And normally when you use like a Viterra Eagle combo, the pistons only come up to the deck, you know, about this far. There's actually a gap where the piston doesn't come all the way to the top. But with these guys' connecting rods, they actually bring the piston all the way up to the top of the bore, like on this engine here, where it comes all the way up to the surface of the deck, which is how it should be. When you use the Eagles and Viterras together, usually the compression ratio yields around like a 7.5:1, which is really freaking low and creates a gutless monster. But when you have the custom length connecting rods like what Performance 2.0 offers, you get the higher deck height piston, or the piston comes higher up in the bore, which yields around a 9-to-1 compression ratio, which is definitely a lot more usable and will make a lot more torque and mid-range power before it comes into boost, which makes for a more fun engine to drive. So yeah, I'm kind of just waiting on parts for pretty much all these cars that I'm working on right now, the EK and as well as this EG. So I know there isn't really a whole lot of stuff for me to be filming right now. So I figured I would tear into the cylinder head over here for my buddy's LS motor that we're building. We built this in the last video, and I kind of put it together without showing you guys anything. But I have done a lot of this stuff on previous videos, and it kind of discourages me to keep doing it over and over again. I feel like the content will get repetitive, and you know, it won't be as interesting. And I feel like I did take a lot of time to make those videos for you guys already, with like how to assemble a bottom end for a Honda, you know, how to make a reliable Honda, etc. So if I'm not doing like more, I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of getting discouraged with making videos because I feel like I do a lot of the same stuff over and over again with these cars, and I feel like that's why I know them so well. But yeah. So anyways, I feel like I'm going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to tear into this cylinder head that I have. This is a B16 cylinder head. This is the head that I have, and then this is the head that my buddy Trevor has with the B18 that we built for his. He's going to be running LS Vtec, and I'm going to be going B20 Vtec. So this head here is completely assembled. It has all the rocker arms still installed, all the valve springs, all the valves, etc. And this head is completely bare, or almost bare, I should say. So you can see this one, the valve springs and valves are all removed, and the rocker arms are all removed as well. Now you could get deeper into this, like you could take out the Vtec LMAs, these are called, lost motion assemblies. And these things just literally plop right into here. They're pretty easy to remove and install. And I kind of wanted to show you guys how to remove the rocker arms out of the cylinder head on a B series. So I'm going to be demonstrating that on my cylinder head over here, since this one is already done. Now the main reason you would want to do this is to kind of thoroughly clean the cylinder head and, you know, kind of get in all the nooks and crannies. Because when the rocker arms are installed, you can't add a lot of this stuff. And it does make putting valve springs in a little bit easier, which I'm going to be doing on this cylinder head as well. So to start, you're going to remove the two hex head screws right here. They're 10mm Allen heads. Now, I also forgot to mention on this cylinder head, I'm actually missing these pieces. This head is actually missing a lot of stuff, but these pieces are actually supposed to be here. There actually goes into the rocker arm rod that goes through the whole cylinder head, and these little pins actually hold the whole assembly in place. So these things would normally need to be taken out first before you take off the screws here. So once you remove these things, put them off to the side. Also to note, there is a dimple on one of them. So like this one has a step on it, and that one goes towards the exhaust side. And this one that is like a total, you know, flat the whole way up, it goes on the intake side. Those are removed. We can actually just stick a 12mm bolt into the end of the rocker rods and kind of just use the bolt here to walk the arm out. And as you notice, these ones are going to start falling, or maybe they won't. Maybe they're just high mileage and they're just stuck in there with sludge right now. But anyways, the bolt, just you use it to pull the rocker arm out, or the rocker rod, whatever you want to call it. So you pull this thing out, and there you are. The same thing on the other side. And there we are. Now we got the rods out. The rocker arms should just come right out. Yep, so these things are just going to pop out. And you're going to have quite a few pieces that come apart with it. So you're going to have a big fat rocker in the middle, which is for the Vtec. and then you're going to have a rocker on each side of it, that these actually go down onto the valve. And then you have your adjustment nuts and jam nut there. And like I said, there's going to be 3 of them, just like so, on each cylinder. It doesn't really matter what way they go, you just got to make sure that the fat one is in the middle and then the skinny ones are on the outside. And then also in the middle of the Vtec one, there's going to be a pin. So this pin can come right out. You want to make sure that you don't lose any of these and they go back into the same spot they came out of. And yeah, that's pretty much how to take out the rocker arms. Now next we can take out the valve springs and the valves. And I actually got this Alright guys, so I actually got this tool from eBay. I got it from China. It only took like a week to get here, but it was $18 and it looks just like this. And this is actually a really handy tool for B series engines because the B series actually has, you know, all this shit in the way, so you can't really use a C-clamp very well with the rockers installed. You'd have to have a special style C-clamp for this to work. You can't just use like any old C-clamp. But anyways, this pretty much what this tool does is it actually just bolts on to where the cam cap would go. It comes with bolts. And it also comes with this cup right here, which is cut like halfway out on one side so you can get at the keepers. And what this tool does is you pretty much just set that on top of the valve retainer and then tighten down on the bolt here. And this compresses the spring, and then you just take a magnet in there to get the retainer out, and then your valve springs will come out. Now this tool actually works way better when you're installing, or I should say this tool is really necessary when you install the valve springs. When you are removing them, you can actually just hit them with a socket. That's what I do usually, just because it is a little bit faster instead of using the tool for every single one. Yeah, I forgot to mention there's also a little pin that goes right here in the middle cam cap. You want to make sure that you have this pin and O-ring installed, and if you do not have this installed, you actually could have a Vtec pressure loss. So when Vtec engages, the oil pressure may drop and your Vtec may not work if this pin and O-ring is not installed. Also, if you do not have the pins on the outside here, that will actually change the position of the rocker rod, which needs to be in a specific orientation for it to work properly, because there is oiling holes on the rocker rod here that flow the oil for the Vtec rocker arm in order to activate it. So if that pin is not there and this is misaligned a little bit, the oil pressure is actually not going to reach that rocker arm right here. So yeah, I don't know. I'm probably going to be putting some of this stuff together. I wanted to just kind of take apart this cylinder head a little bit so I can clean it up and get all this sludge and grime out of there before we kind of rebuild it. Now, I actually took apart Trevor's cylinder head over here, and I noticed that a lot of his valves were bent. Like you can see right here, if you look straight down, you know, all these valves are standing straight up, but this one in the front is crooked. And this is a flat bench. So you can see that this valve is definitely bent. Another way to kind of check to see if you have a bent valve is just kind of rotate it in your hand. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but that is definitely bent. It's got some waviness to it. So yeah, this is definitely no good. Usually if you have bent valves, like even if you only have 2 bent valves, it's best to just kind of replace all of them, especially on a Honda, because a lot of these motors, you know, the timing belt may have jumped in the past and the valves may have kissed the pistons a little bit, and a lot of times that's why these valves bend. So always make sure your timing belt is tight and tensioned properly. And I've went over a lot of this stuff of how I kind of cheat the tensioner to make sure the timing belt is nice and tight, so none of this stuff happens. And makes guys like me have to replace everything in the frickin' cylinder head. So anyways, that's kind of just a little quick video for you guys to check out this, what I'm doing and these cylinder heads that I'm working on. And hopefully you guys understand now how to disassemble a B16 cylinder head a little bit better. I didn't go over the basic stuff like removing the cam caps because that's kind of self-explanatory, and I've already went over that in previous videos. But yeah, so yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the video, the quick little tutorial of how to kind of inspect a B16 cylinder head, inspect the valves, and inspect you know, all the stuff that you're needing. Like if you're missing these pieces, your cylinder head isn't going to work properly. Just little things like this are definitely going to throw your throw everything off and make the whole frickin' thing not work. So just be on the lookout for all this stuff, guys. When you go through your B-Series Vtec cylinder heads, you got to make sure of the stuff that I went over. So hopefully it helped some of you guys. If it did, please hit the like button and subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I've been posting quite a bit. I hope I don't run out of content anytime soon. But yeah, so I'm going to be working on some stuff this week. Hopefully you guys tune in for that. And we will see you in the next video.